Well, hello, folks, and welcome once again to the Vaporslime workshop. We will be putting together a new track from scratch in a roughly 2-hour time window. I'm not a big stickler for whether or not it's exactly 2 hours, but I do tend to go hands off when we're approximately at that range. I do take some shortcuts. There will be some copy pasting, some looping, no AI, personal policy, no AI. And so with all that out of the way, we might as well just jump right on into it here. So let's check. Okay, yeah, the little meters are jumping up. That means you can hear it. Always gotta check. You never know. And so, kind of what I came up with was primarily a bass riff originally, but it sort of came up with like a guitar part that went over it. It sounded something like this. Let's start that over. Now, what I'm going to be recording tonight is not exactly that, because there was some uncertainty about whether a certain chord was major or minor. And I think the whole thing sort of implies pretty much major chords all the way down, so sort of like... And then... You know, whereas like in that demo, I would occasionally go. But that's the basic idea, something sort of like that. And I kind of wanted to do like because it's such a bass-heavy riff, well, not necessarily a heavy bass, but just, you know, like emphasis on the bass riff. I thought we could go with like a kind of a post-punkish kind of sound. You know, there tends to be... I don't actually know a whole lot about post-punk. It's a blind spot I've been slowly filling in over the last year or so. Hi, Joanne. And so we're going to start with drums, as we often do here. And just fairly basic driving rhythm. Bum, ba, bum, bum. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. And tabla's a real, it's a real nice instrument to sort of have, to kind of play around with. I can maybe play around with that a little bit later, but it's that basic kind of, you know, sort of early 80s, you know, really starting to get into the kind of reverb heavy drums. And I should have done this before. We're going to quickly make a note of our tempo, which is 85 BPM. We are playing in double time, but somehow putting the BPM up to 170 just seems a little, I don't know. It isn't quite right. Back off. And this is one of those few times where I will concede that having fresh bass strings would probably get me the tone that I want here. I'm not usually a stickler for that sort of thing, but in this instance, that is kind of where that particular sound comes from. So, just gonna give this a little brightness with some overdrive. Do I ever use plugin? Well, I mean, in a technical sense, all of these things are stock plugins. But yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. If we look into my plugins folder here, you had a bunch of these. A lot of them don't work anymore for one reason or another. The Apple ones here, these audio units, those are still good. The audio unit graphic EQ is real handy. And these two here by Next, Apricot and Fluxtus, those are two synthesizers that I use a lot. I don't know that I ever used some of these. I don't recognize. Like I don't. Oh yeah, the Blue Cat free amp. It's an amp simulator. A Tomato preamp. I used that for a while. That was kind of nice. It doesn't work anymore. Sono Elements E-Tron. I wish this one still worked. This was basically a Mellotron, and that was handy. I'll try drum bus. Yeah, okay. Just turn that down a little. Again, And that might need some more EQ after the fact, but we gotta get started somewhere. Okay. No, we want to keep that. One, two, three, and... I'll try that one again. 1, 2, 3, 4. thought I got it all in one. I might have to do that second part over. Two, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I don't have any reverb on the bass. That tends to sound a bit messy. You can do it, but yeah, you kind of have to be ready for it. Crap load of reverb on the drums, though, just to give it that kind of 80s sound. All right. All right. Now we're going to add wait, we don't want resampling, we want let's find the flanger plugin in Ableton. A little disappointing. Thankfully, flanger is just a delay effect, so because they give you a delay plugin with modulation, you can kind of create a little approximation of a flanger out of that. 2, 3, 4. That one can be a little tighter. So with each of these, I went ahead and recorded kind of twice as much as I needed. Is it for this one as well? Yeah, I guess for this one as well. And so that means we can take this track, duplicate it, and then with each of these we can the start time at the halfway point. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, yeah. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now this one, we'll crop this down so it is 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7, 8, 9. So let's push those out a little. And now, so we now get this. That's kind of the kind of a fun little trick when you're looping things. You can kind of fake double tracking them that way. It's basically, yeah, so the left channel is starting on the first bar, and then the right channel is starting on the fourth bar, and then this one eventually hits to where they sort of switch sides. I'm not doing a good job articulating it, but it makes it sound like you recorded it twice. And so then this part. I think you understood how I made it have the double sound. So the double sound is basically, so I took on the record, and while I was recording it, I recorded 8 bars when I only needed 4. And so then all I did was I just duplicated that. I created just a copy of it. But so one of them starts on bar 1 and the other one starts on bar 5. So that's like the second half. And so like so this one is starting on this half and playing through that, and then the other one is starting on this half and playing through that. And so by the time this part is finished playing out and gets to this part is finished and loops back around to this part. Yeah, and so they're just a little bit out of sync, which is what you get with double tracking. Because if you just copy paste them exactly, then it just sounds like, you know, like a mono signal. And then people will try to maybe flip the phase on one of them, or delay it a little bit, or add effects to this one but not to that one. But yeah, so short of this to me has always been kind of the most effective way to fake doing a double track. So if we go back to the Well, I think we got sort of the most of our main loops worked out here. All right. So we still have the piano track plugged in. I haven't really figured if we'll do anything with that, but there it is, just in case. I'm going to take a moment here and just quickly rename some tracks as well. I usually only do this after the stream's done. And just to keep track of things. Okay. So do we want to just start with the drums? Did I start with the drums? I guess it doesn't matter. Start with the drums because it makes sense to start with the drums here. Didn't do a whole lot anyway. Missed a cue there, and those came in a little late. That's fine. Looks like did they show up at all? No, I might have stopped it before they did. Yeah, okay. Okay, no, we want only 4 of those, so we want that to stop there. I'm also going to take this drum part. I'm going to Alright, now I can take a big swath of this and just copy paste it. We take, basically duplicate. Nope, undo. Duplicate was the wrong choice. Just copy that. Put it over here. Shorten it down. What the heck happened here? Some stuff made it into the slightly before 1. That's strange. That doesn't usually happen. What happened here? Oh yeah, it's that thing again, okay. I don't know when that happened. I must have slid something over very slightly at some point. we? We're doing something a little more, well, I say post-punk, but it's kind of just a little punkier this week. At the very least, it's faster than what we usually play. Okay. Turn that down just so I can hear the other instruments. So yes, that's going to be a little thin overall. That's fine. We do want to put. Let's put. Noise gate really doesn't know what to do. Yeah, we'll put another EQ after that to try and emphasize some of the more musical frequencies happening here. Also, hi Jessica. All right, so now All right. I messed something else up again. What happened there? Something weird happened there. Uh-huh, okay. I'm just going to delete that. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming by and see you around. Okay, I think that might work a little better. Some stuff got misaligned again. I guess this one's on me. I didn't really pay that much attention. Let's get that. Okay. We'll just take that one from the top. It's just power chords. Drum track is not correct. What happened here? Why does this keep happening? Did Ableton push out an update that I don't know about? That's... Now we're going to take this part, I'm just going to duplicate this and kind of turn it into its own loop. Maybe not the best guitar for that part. What if we went to one of these? Pushed the wrong button here. What if we sort of morph into halftime at around this point? So, because we just have the... So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that slow strum might not have been good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, I'm not hearing it because I'm taping over it. Okay, undo. One, two, three, four. 66. Okay. So we want... There. Weird. Okay, hang on, hang on. There's one thing we gotta do before doing anything else here. Let's plug the big boy back in. So they're going... If I do it one more time, I think I'll get it. Also, I'm gonna just loop this part again so that I can hear it twice. I think that's gonna help. There. Three, four. what should we start with? We're going to add another track just for the solo here. And we're going to go with a distortion track. But this time we're going to roll it back just a smidge. I think we're good to just kind of squash this with if we put the reverb over on this side of the compressor. Let me turn the reverb way down, and it's still very noticeable. Of course, that could change when we bring the other instruments in. Okay. Kind of worried about that enough, I think. crazy idea. What if we went with this? I think cool. I think we're starting to get the sound, but this is going to need a little more work. I'll have to do this one more time, I think. I want this one. Okay, before I do anything else, I just want to take all of this stuff and just kind of move it here, maybe? Oops. What happens if, oh, did I undo drop clip? No, that should stay where it is. It's better if it does. We'll duplicate it and we'll put one over here. I think it started raining. Alright, and then we're going to take these here and copy them. So I'm just doing a visual check to make sure these notes, right, you can't see the cursor. To make sure that these drum hits here in this little blue section line up with these sort of bass notes here. And then we're going to have one last kind of crash cymbal right there. I don't know. I've been around a few bass players, and perfume is not the word that comes to mind. Okay, ooh, that one was a little late. There. So at the end there you get to kind of match what the other instruments are doing. Okay, we do need to put a little more work into these drums, I think. I'm just going to insert a MIDI track underneath. That'll just give us a little space to work here. And so again, this is just making sure that there are some cymbal crashes at the appropriate moments. And also turning this one hi-hat down from velocity 81 to velocity 60 something or other. Undo, delete. Just delete and duplicate right next to each other. That's lovely. Okay, so yeah, that just didn't really do much for the drum tracks themselves, but we do now have some cymbal hits to kind of accent the various changes. We got about 10 minutes left for mixing, which, as I've asserted elsewhere in the past little while, a rushed mix does not hurt a song as much as a rushed arrangement. So I think what we got here is it's a pretty decent arrangement. Now we just gotta mix it. turn everything down equally for a second there. I was just taking a moment there to kind of listen to the mix through my crappy speakers. You'll learn a few things doing that. Yeah, things you might not have caught through the crappy headphones. Anyway, so now let's just take our master track here. You know, it's funny to think that once again, the part of the mix that sounds best to me is the part that I kind of came up with on the spot while I was... is this little section here. Now that just kind of made that up. Well, I mean, I made up all of it because that's what I do. But most of this, I sort of had a general idea beforehand, but not so much that part. And I like the way that sounds, especially here at the end when you go into like the halftime on the drums. Did some of these drum hits get affected? No, that's 98. Well, that one is... Okay, there's a click. Here it is. Get rid of that. And might that click be elsewhere? Well, I think it is elsewhere, but you don't really hear it. Or maybe not. All right, but with that, I think we have a song here. And so, as per usual, I will of course be uploading both the track fully mixed as well as the individual stems over to my page on ccmixter.org. So you can either get the song or just get the tracks and remix it, do what you want, have some fun. And yeah, I will be back on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with some more retro games. I'll be back on Thursday with some more live music improv. I'll be back on Saturday with another one of these music streams. And in the meantime, looks like Brime is online, doing something interesting. Anyway, so yeah, we'll just go raid over there. And yeah, in the meantime, thanks once again, everybody, for coming by and hanging out and chatting and doing the stuff. And especially listening. This is a music stream after all, and listening is a rather valuable part of that. And until next time, I sure do hope to see you next time. Next time. Bye for now.